Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. It is Friday. It is April 24th. Thanks so much for watching throughout the week, including today's broadcast, whether live or on replay. At the White House and in Florida today, Sunshine State, the president has a 2 p.m. policy meeting in the Oval Office, and then the president will then head to Donald J. Trump International Airport in West Palm Beach via Air Force One, where tonight he'll participate in the RNC Spring Retreat in Florida. Currently, all events are closed to the press. If they open up, we'll be here for it. Obviously, if there's any breaking news or developing news, we are also here for that. Speaking of news, in national news today, some Missouri residents are slightly shaken after a 4.0 earthquake hit the region yesterday. No reports on injuries there. This as a huge tornado hit Oklahoma yesterday, causing 10 injuries and significant structural damage in Garfield County in Oklahoma. And we're monitoring that wildfire we talked about yesterday in Brantley County, Georgia. At last check, more than 5,000 acres have been burned, as 87 homes have been burned, with hundreds more threatened. In international news today, the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire has been extended by 3 weeks. President Trump announced the extension following the ambassador-level talks at the White House. He indicated no rush on a broader Iran deal. As for Operation Epic Fury, specifically the Strait of Hormuz standoff, U.S. forces have boarded vessels as President Trump has ordered action against Iranian small boats. This as a third U.S. aircraft carrier has arrived near Iran. From national news to international news, and also in our nation's capital, the DHS partial government shutdown has entered day 70, affecting numerous operations within the Department of Homeland Security. This as there were thick black plumes of smoke seen for miles yesterday after a metro bus in D.C.'s 9th Street tunnel caught fire. We're told there were no passengers on board at the time of the incident. Local reports from Fox 5 in D.C. say the cause is believed to be mechanical in nature. Plus, also within D.C., the left-leaning Politico is reporting that White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt expects to have her second child next week. And while on leave, Politico is reporting that Vice President Vance, cabinet officials, and potentially President Trump are expected to handle press briefings. Meantime, here are a few notable dates coming up on the president's schedule. On Monday, the president and first lady will welcome King Charles III and Queen Camilla in D.C. as part of a 4-day state visit to the United States. Then on Tuesday, King Charles is expected to address a joint session of Congress. And then if you fast forward to May, on the 14th and 15th, President Trump and the First Lady will travel to China to visit with President Xi Jinping. All right, let's go now to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to highlight the deal to bring most favored nation pricing to American patients.
17 of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies, representing 80% of the branded drug market, have now agreed to sell their drugs to American patients at the lowest prices anywhere in the world. Today I'm also announcing that the FDA has just approved a new drug from Regeneron called Otarmany, a gene therapy curing a rare disease that causes deafness. And here with us is 2-year-old Travis Smith. He was born deaf.
My son went from having absolutely no personality and he couldn't connect with anybody, and now he loves music and he's able to understand me, and I can tell him how much I love him, and it just means so much to me.
We are happy to be here because it marks an important step to lower drug prices.
We have made the decision, the unprecedented corporate commitment, to provide this first of its kind gene therapy from hearing loss free to all the children in the United States who can benefit from it.
What a great event that was. If you saw it here on Right Side Broadcasting Network just yesterday in the Oval Office at the White House, you can always replay that video as well. Again, as we are live today on this Friday, April 24th. Speaking of today, let's go now to the latest Department of War press conference held at 8 this morning.
Well, good morning. Unlike the endless wars of the past that dragged on for years and for decades with little to show for it, Operation Epic Fury has delivered a decisive military result in just weeks. Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. As the president has pointed out, all took years, decades. Vague missions, shifting sands, little to show for it. Operation Epic Fury has been laser focused from the very start, as I've said to all of you. Clear mission objectives, and ultimately Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. It's a bold and dangerous mission, a gift to the world, historic, courtesy of a bold and historic president. That mission continues today in this new phase as Iran has an important choice, a chance to make a deal, a good deal, a wise deal. As part of that effort, the United States has imposed an ironclad blockade that grows more powerful by the day. From the Gulf of Oman to the open oceans, our Navy is enforcing this blockade without hesitation or apology. Now, as usual, there's a lot of false information out there. I'll say this, every ship that the U.S. believes meets our criteria, either Iranian ships or to and from Iranian ports, has been turned around. As of this morning, 34 total. Non-Iranian vessels are allowed to transit, and many have, including overnight. Not only is the blockade growing, in fact, a second aircraft carrier will join the blockade in just a few days, but this growing blockade is also gone global. Just this week, we seized 2 Iranian dark fleet ships in the Indo-Pacific region that had left Iranian ports before the blockade went into effect. They thought they'd made it out just in time. They did not. We seized their sanctioned ships, and we will seize more. Our blockade is growing and going global. America's military is unmatched, projecting power, denying passage to adversaries, and protecting our interest at the time and place of our choosing. No one sails from the Strait of Hormuz to anywhere in the world without the permission of the United States Navy. To the regime in Tehran, the blockade is tightening by the hour. We are in control, nothing in, nothing out. Iran's battered military, the IRGC specifically, has been reduced to a gang of pirates with a flag. They cloak their aggression in slogans, but the world now sees them for what they are, criminals on the high seas. They don't control anything. They're acting like pirates, acting like terrorists. They're the ones who lay indiscriminate mines, who shoot at random ships, who killed 45,000 of their own people, innocent protesters in the course of weeks. Their own people. They are the bad actors. The vessels that the Iranians seized in recent days, a couple of them, they're not American ships. They're not Israeli ships. They're just random ships that drove where they drove their little speedboats up to and shot at those ships with AK-47s. Anyone with a speedboat, a gun, and the wrong intentions can do that. They know that we, the United States of America, control the flow of global shipping, and we know that they know. Their real navy is at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf. It's worth saying again, for 47 years, Iran has been at war with America, killing our citizens, our soldiers, and our allies, while previous administrations looked the other way. The real endless war is the war that Iran has waged on us for 47 years. President Trump is the only president with the guts and moral clarity to finally do something about it. I see it every day behind closed doors. President Trump's fortitude is unshakable and his mission is crystal clear. President Trump said it again yesterday. We have all the time in the world, and we're not anxious for a deal. And I hear him say it every day in private as well. Iran knows that they still have an open window to choose wisely, as we said previously, choose wisely at the negotiating table. All they have to do is abandon a nuclear weapon in meaningful and verifiable ways, or instead they can watch their regime's fragile economic state collapse under the unrelenting pressure of American power. A blockade as long as it takes, whatever President Trump decides. Because the bottom line remains the bottom line. Iran will never get a nuclear bomb. The choice is theirs, but with this blockade, the clock is not on their side. Moreover, President Trump has authorized the United States Navy to destroy any Iranian fast boats that attempt to put mines in the water or disrupt passage through the Strait of Hormuz, to shoot and kill. Our commanders have clear rules of engagement. If Iran is putting mines in the water or otherwise threatening American commercial shipping or American forces, we will shoot to destroy. No hesitation, just like the drug boats in the Caribbean. It's also worth saying, this should not be America's fight alone. We barely use the Strait of Hormuz as a country. Our energy doesn't flow through there, and we have plenty of energy. Just look at the new global Congo line, headed to Texas. A beautiful picture. Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades, but the time for free riding is over. America and the free world deserve allies who are capable, who are loyal, and who understand that being an ally is not a one-way street.
All right, so let's go back to the Department of War in just a second. Before we do, we're going to go to mypillow.com/RSB. And of course, the warehouse moving sale, you can save up to 80% on the products there. A ton of great products, as many of you know, because a lot of people that watch Right Side, I believe, have MyPillow products. Go ahead and say it in the chat if you have any MyPillow products, maybe on Rumble or YouTube or wherever you're watching right now. But in the meantime, if you don't have any products, at least try a few, because there's so many great ones there. MyPillow.com, and use that RSBN promo code /RSBN to save up to 80% for the warehouse moving sale. Again, do you want me to list all of the great products? I know a lot of you are aware of what is at MyPillow.com other than the great pillows. You have the great sheets and the slides and slippers and my coffee and dog beds and all sorts of stuff. There's towels, there's all sorts of stuff there. So check it out, mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Of course, as we travel, as we cover the news and all the things, and obviously it costs a few bucks. We have some great sponsors, we have some great donors to the network. But if you'd like to donate, even if it's a one-time donation, there you go, rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right, let's go back to the Pentagon, the Department of War, of course, that press conference today with the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Daniel King.
We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking, having less fancy conferences in Europe, and getting a boat. This is much more their fight than ours. On this core mission, America's will is unshakable, our capabilities unmatched. Our blockade is only growing and going global. And as the President said, we have all the time in the world. Iran has a historic chance to make a serious deal, and the ball is in their court. Either way, the War Department stands ready for what comes next, locked and loaded. May God continue to bless our warriors each and every day and on each and every mission. Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Today marks 55 days since the President of the United States ordered major combat operations against Iran. Today and this morning, the Joint Force remains postured and prepared to recommence major combat operations on the order of the President. On April 8th, the President announced a ceasefire, and last week, at the President's direction and on order of the Secretary, U.S. CENTCOM began enforcing a blockade against all commercial vessels going into and out of Iran and their ports. Simultaneously, the U.S. military, in support of the U.S. Department of Justice, was ordered to conduct maritime interdiction operations against sanctioned and dark fleet vessels globally. This operation also began on April 8th, and what I'd like to do this morning is update all of you on those actions and activities. First, as I mentioned, U.S. Central Command continues to maintain a strict blockade on all the ports. We're enforcing the blockade across the board against any ship of any nationality that is transiting to or from an Iranian port or territory. We're closely tracking vessels of interest headed towards Iran and those moving away from Iran that were outside the blockade area when this blockade was ordered. And as everyone saw this past weekend, we're prepared and postured to intercept them. As of this morning, 34 ships have met the U.S. blockade and made the wise choice to turn around. One ship did not, and that ship was the motor vessel Tuska. Over several hours this past Sunday, April 19th, the U.S. conducted maritime interdiction operations against the Tuska, whose crew attempted to breach the blockade line. The Tuska is a large container ship, about 965 feet long, or about the same size as the United States Navy aircraft carrier, and over 100 feet wide. The operation began about 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when the United States Navy destroyer approached her, and the crew and the vessel ignored warnings. And I've described how the destroyer force is operating in the area prior. Upon intercept and coming within visual range, American forces began to issue several clear and unambiguous warnings and inform the vessel and their crew that they were in a violation of the U.S. blockade and directed the ship to turn around. Over a 6-hour period, the vessel and her crew repeatedly ignored U.S. warnings. And then the U.S. Navy destroyer executed a series of pre-planned, carefully calibrated escalation options, including firing 5 warning shots. The vessel and her crew continued to ignore warnings. And after exhausting all other measures, CENTCOM authorized disabling fire against the Tuska. U.S. sailors warned the crew of the Tuska to abandon the engine room, and at approximately 9 a.m. Eastern Time, the destroyer disabled the Tuska's engine by firing 9 inert rounds from the destroyer's Mark 45 5-inch guns precisely into the engine room and engine space on board the Tuska. Not surprisingly, the vessel then reported issues with their engine, went dead in the water, and began to comply with U.S. directions and orders. At 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, CENTCOM ordered United States board to disable infiltration methods and took custody of the ship. The ship and her crew remain safe in U.S. custody today. Let me now turn to global operations in the Pacific, and I want to highlight that this is a major interagency effort between the United States military, the White House, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Justice. On Monday, April 20th, U.S. Indo-PACOM forces, in support of a Department of Justice request, interdicted the motor tanker Tiffany, which was transporting sanctioned Iranian oil. The Tiffany is a very large crude tanker, VLCC for short, and is also about the size of a U.S. aircraft carrier and capable of transporting approximately 2 million barrels of oil. At approximately 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. military forces and law enforcement forces also went to the ship via rotary wing platforms, fast roped onto her deck, and secured her. After the ship was secured, a U.S. Navy control team embarked aboard the Tiffany, and assumed control of the ship at 4 a.m. Eastern Time on April 21st. A Navy control team is comprised of sailors led by a boarding officer that assumes control of a seized ship in order to secure the crew, the cargo, and the vessel. And disposition of that first vessel is still pending. The next interdiction occurred on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, 22 April, when Indo-PACOM conducted yet another interdiction again at the request of the U.S. Department of Justice. This time, the stateless motor tanker Majestic X, also known as the Ponix, also in the Indian Ocean. This is again a VLCC, or very large crude tanker. At approximately 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, U.S. forces began the interdiction, again using rotary wing assets to get to the ship, got on board, and secured the bridge. Both ships, the Tiffany, the Majestic X, and their crews remain in U.S. custody. And we will continue to conduct similar maritime interdiction actions and activities in the Pacific and Indian Oceans against Iranian ships and vessels of the Dark Fleet. The actions by our service members and our law enforcement partners demonstrate the incredible discipline and dedication and professionalism of our joint force and highlight the global reach of American combat power. The joint force remains on ensuring the Iranian regime cannot harm our interests or those of our allies and partners. And I'll highlight that Iran has repeatedly sought to offensively and proactively expand the conflict by aggression against its neighbors and its attacks on global shipping through the Strait. To date, Iran has attacked 5 merchant vessels, seized 2 of them, that were attempting to transit the Strait. And these include ships that Iran itself had cleared to proceed. Now, as I always do, I want to honor members of the Joint Force. Today, I want to highlight and proudly describe the essential role of our intelligence enterprise and the role that they play in conducting our military operations. The totality of their work is the culmination of days, months, and in many cases, years of work by our uniformed and civilian intelligence professionals.
So we'll be going right back to the Pentagon there in just a second. This all brought to you by some great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including All Family Pharmacy. And we're right in the middle of peak allergy season. And for a lot of people, it's hitting hard right now. Congestion, fatigue, and that run-down feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. And it's not just the symptoms, it's how it affects everything else. Your sleep, your energy, your focus throughout the day. Most of the time it hits before you've had a chance to prepare. It's something we see year after year. And that's why more Americans are starting to prepare ahead instead of reacting last minute. With All Family Pharmacy, you can get access to common allergy medications like nasal sprays and inhalers, along with other prescriptions people rely on this time of year. And the whole process around this is simple. All you have to do is you go online, you fill out a quick medical form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, your medication ships straight to your door. So no extra steps, no running around, just a simpler way to handle allergy season and have what you need on hand. So visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN 10 promo code at checkout to save that 10%. Also, this all brought to you by Birch Gold Group. Specifically, I want to show you this right off the top. This is a free info kit that you can get, whether it's going to be a paper one or one that is digitally via text. But when the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. If you fast forward to today, the US dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. And gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than 12,000%. That's why central banks and others out there are buying gold at record levels. And here at RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. This all starts with education, as Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. It's a free online event that rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. So you can sign up to get free silver on your next purchase and get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. The dollar, of course, lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. Text the word shrunk to the number you see on your screen there, 989898. And what you'll do is you'll be joining the Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event, again, which ends in about 6 days from now. Text Trump to 989898 today, and you'll get that free info kit as well. Some great sponsors here on Right Side. We have a lot to get to, of course, even after the press conference wraps up at the Department of War. I just want to give a quick shout out to the viewers that are watching live right now. Whether you're watching on our home on Rumble, whether you're watching on X or YouTube, whether you're watching on the app, whether you're watching on Facebook, wherever you're watching. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, here in conservative media. We like to tell it like it is here at the network, and of course, show you the full press conference as we are with the Pentagon. There's a lot of other social media videos, a lot of other news stories going on, and some more interviews coming up over the next couple hours. And on top of that, when we're live, anytime there's breaking news or developing news, we'll go right to it, especially when it comes to national breaking news. So thanks so much for watching, and thanks so much for all the different comments that we see on various social platforms. We're standing together as we continue to cover conservative viewpoints, of course, but also seeing what's happening out there in that 24/7 news cycle. Speaking of that, let's go back to the Pentagon.
We have been able to do the work that we are ordered to do because America's intelligence force, including our core collectors and analysts, have spent decades searching for every loose thread. From the determination of a particular intelligence requirement to that piece of intelligence being collected in the field by a military or interagency case officer, to the rigorous analysis that goes into reporting on that finding, those team members spend their careers answering the incredibly important questions that we must attempt to answer before, during, and after operations. They live in the enemy's mind. Normally located behind the green door or behind the vault door in dark windowless rooms across the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, are world-class intel members from DIA, our service intelligence components, NSA, NGA, CIA, NRO, and in the case of the operations that I've just described, the Office of Naval Intelligence, all work tirelessly to sift through the mountains of collected information using tools, tactics, techniques, and procedures that I'm not going to discuss today. The sun never sets on these world-class professionals, and their goal is every minute of every day to be on the account. And they know the enemy. They know their combat capability, their weapons, their industrial and economic systems, and they know their leaders' pattern of life, where they go, what they think, and what they do. Thanks to their work, we know Iran, and it is an incredible work that they do. Again, none of our operations that we've conducted during my time in this job could have been done without the service of these intelligence professionals. And the distance from those core collectors and those analysts to those Patriot crews who are defending U.S. forces forward, or the fighter pilots, is incredibly small. Every single day, as their mottos say, they are committed to excellence in the defense of the nation and to securing the future, and they're doing the work of the mission. Before I close, as I do every time, I want to highlight and remember our fallen. Today, I want to highlight the 63 victims of the terrorist bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, which occurred 43 years ago, just a few days ago, on April 18th, 1983. At that time, this was the deadliest attack on a U.S. diplomatic mission, and this was the first attack conducted by Iranian-backed forces on Americans. The suicide bomber detonated a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device out in front of the embassy, killing 63 innocent people, including 32 Lebanese, 14 visitors, and 17 Americans. And among those lost, members of the Joint Force, to include 3 Army soldiers and 1 United States Marine. We remember their names: Sergeant First Class Richard Twine, Staff Sergeant Ben Maxwell, Staff Sergeant Mark Salazar, and United States Marine Corporal Vincent McMaw. Today we remember them. We carry on their memory and the memory of all our fallen, and remain grateful for their sacrifice and that of their families, who continue to show us what courage looks like. As we continue to press forward and maintain these operations, the Secretary, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and I are deeply humbled by the spirit, tenacity, and commitment and grit of the 2.8 million members of our Joint Force. The Secretary and I thank every member of the Joint Force engaged in this operation, every warrior who remains deployed or who is supporting from here at home. Thank you to and thank you to your families. Sir, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll take a few questions.
Thank you. In your estimation, have there been increased or decreased instances of Iranian vessels either approaching or trying to breach the blockade the longer it is in effect? And another question about the mine threat. Has the mine threat been neutralized enough to
Thank you for the
facilitate
likes,
flow in the
guys.
straits?
Well, to the second question, first of all, we are seeing vessels transit. There are paths that are open. And part of what the president is threatening is ensuring if there's attempts to recklessly and irresponsibly lay more mines, we're going to deal with it. It's a violation of the ceasefire. So transit is occurring, much more limited than anybody would like to see, and with more risk than people would like to see. But that's because Iran is doing irresponsible things with small fast boats, crafts, like I said, with weapons on them. These are commercial ships, in some cases cruise ships that came through being threatened by these. So as far as breaching the blockade, it's been a pretty consistent. There were a number of ships at the beginning. Then you had the interdiction that the chairman described, where we took out the engine room and disabled that ship. I think that sent a very clear sign that this is not a fake blockade. This is a real, full blockade. We'll use up to and including lethal force if necessary. And that stopped, and other ships have taken note of that. So any ships that have attempted, there's been levels of escalation, but none that far, and they've turned around. Absolutely, yes.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman. David Zia, Real America's Voice. To follow up on Alexandra's question, how big are these mine-laying boats? Can they be achieved from fast boats? And I want to follow up my last week question about as jet fuel stocks in Europe reportedly are only about 6 weeks left. They get most of their jet fuel from the Gulf. Have any European countries reached out to assist in cordoning off the strait and participating in escorts?
I know there's a lot of talks. You saw I would call it a silly conference in Europe last week where they got together and talking about maybe doing something eventually when things are done. Those are not serious efforts yet. We would welcome that. We would welcome a serious European effort to do something about this strait and this passage, considering it's their energy capabilities that are most at stake. I think it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for countries around the world. Either you have capabilities or you don't. Otherwise, you're at the behest of a country like Iran, and the only country that can do something about it is the United States military. You want to talk about the mines and the small crafts?
They have a variety of smaller Boston whaler-sized boats. We have forces up there deterring and preventing them from continuing to do that. We'll continue to do so pursuant to the orders of the Secretary and the President.
But reckless mining like that is a violation of the
Unwise
ceasefire.
to do.
And very unwise to do. Absolutely. Jerry.
Thank you. Rubio has made some of the war in Iran, and the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops recently put out a statement suggesting that the war does not fit the requirements of just war theory. And I wondered if the Pentagon had thought about this war against the terrorist regime in Iran in terms of the framework of a just war, and if either one of you could talk about that. And then just my second question would be, the Pentagon recently, this week, gave well-deserved award upgrades to the members of Gulf Company 2-1 Marines who served at HKI and Abbey Gate during the withdrawal and evacuation. I wonder if you Mr. Secretary, could speak a little bit about that and maybe give us a little bit more in terms of what to expect from this Afghanistan review in terms of further proper recognition and proper accountability.
On the first question, Pope's going to do his thing, that's fine. We know what our mission is. We know what authority we have. We're very clear about that. We follow that. The orders of the president, we've got lawyers all over the place looking at what we're doing and why we're doing it and giving us every authority necessary under the Constitution and under our laws to execute it. So we feel very confident across the spectrum about what we're doing and why we're doing and the legal justification that we're following in order to do it. You mentioned the Marines at Abbey Gate. And what we've undertaken at this department is a historic Afghanistan review. So we have, over the course of months, reviewed what happened leading up to and including the events at Abbey Gate and the disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan. There's never actually been a full accounting in this department of the decisions that were made. There's been sort of papered over congressional attempts, but never a real deep dive where we brought everybody in to talk about what happened and why it happened. That has happened. That review will come later this summer, and I think you'll find it to be probably the most comprehensive review this department has ever done about a single series of events. And it's because the cascading effect of what Joe Biden did in abandoning that mission the way that he did and that disastrous withdrawal had ripple effects for our military, for our country, and for the world. That's why reestablishing deterrence is one of the core pillars of what we've been doing at the War Department, because the world looked at that disaster and made choices. Vladimir Putin made choices. Hamas made choices and saw that America wouldn't do anything about it. Houthis shot at ships. They made choices because Joe Biden and his administration were seen as feckless and weak. And that withdrawal was a part of what the world saw, people hanging to planes as we fled. That deserves a full accounting, which is exactly what we're doing. Sean Parnell, our chief spokesman, one of my senior advisors, has been leading that effort, getting to the bottom of it. And one of the revelations was that those Marines at Abbey Gate who showed courage, who were out there exposed, knew there was a threat, nebulous mission, the only gate that's open, did not receive the kind of proper recognition they should have for their heroism. So one of the early results of this Afghan review is to ensure they get the due recognition and award they deserve for the heroism and courage they showed at that gate. Despite the bad decisions of this building and that administration, those Marines...
Keep our soldiers in your daily prayers. Keep Trump in your daily prayers.
Thank you. Michael Casey with Oakey Media Group.
The world is getting ugly.
James Oakey published a story on Department of Army Nuclear Chief Andrew Hugg, who revealed top secret national security information to a stranger he met on a dating app. Will you defer Mr. Hugg for termination and prosecution?
Yeah, he won't work here anymore.
Given the revelations,
It's an easy one.
Will any changes be made to the current anti-espionage training for all Department of War employees now, given this?
Well, we're always on the lookout for CI threats, any internal threats, anyone talking out of school about things they should not. We take leaking very seriously here, informally or formally, which is why some of the reporting done by some of the people in here is incredibly problematic. They're willing to publish things based on classified information that would potentially harm those in harm's way, and we think them doing so is incredibly irresponsible and unpatriotic. And it would encourage members of the press to think twice about the lives they're affecting when they publish things in their publications like the New York Times. Yes, right here.
Does the truth still carry use equipment to China?
Sure. So, I'm sorry, the question's right here.
Thank you. Ryan Morgan with the Epic Times. Earlier this week on that topic, there was a report, I believe, with the Washington Post that the Pentagon had briefed Congress that it could take up to 6 months to fully sweep the Strait of Hormuz for mines. I was wondering if you could comment a little bit more on the specifics of the timeline, the range of time that it could take, and then just a general idea of how many mines have been placed.
We would not speculate on a timeline. I saw that report. It was based on, again, another leak from a closed-door session, which was supposed to be classified, and apparently, allegedly, that was something that was said about we feel confident in our ability in the correct period of time to clear any mines that we identify. And we encourage other countries to be a part of such an effort as well, but we're tracking that very closely. Mr. Chairman, do you want to add anything to that?
No, sir.
Okay. Right here, new members of our press. Right here.
Jacob Wasserman with TMZ DC. We have two questions. I'm going to ask the first, my colleague will ask the second. You know, I've heard you talk a lot about bombing.
We'll see.
Sorry?
We'll see.
Okay. I've heard you talk a lot about bombing people and places. And when you give these orders to carry out this extreme level of violence, what's going through your mind and your body? Do you have like an adrenaline rush? Are you scared? Do you feel like you're on a power trip? Just walk us through and paint us a picture of what it feels like mentally and physically.
It's a very TMZ question. My only thought process is to ensure that our warfighters have everything they need to be successful, defeat and destroy the enemy, and they come home. I want them to feel empowered, to have every authority they need within our rules and within our law to bring maximum violence to the enemy. Because war is violent, war requires doing difficult things, but I want our people to feel empowered, so it's our guys that come home and their guys that do not. Sure, I'll give you one chance.
Charlie Cotton from TMZ DC. You changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Would you consider changing the name again to the Department of Peace, since that's what we're all after?
Well, that's the pursuit. It's a great question, actually. You go from defense to war because you want to be proactive about peace through strength. And really, I gave a speech in front of generals about what the ethos of the War Department is all about, because I wanted to go through every echelon of this department. It means something. It's not just words. And when you fight a war the right way, the idea is on the other side you bring about peace. That is what we'd like to see the most. In fact, I once did a video about the one institution that should win the Nobel Peace Prize every single year is the United States military, because we are the guarantor of the safety and security of not just of our country, but of a lot of people in this world. Last question. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. I do appreciate your time. Since February 28, 725 drones and missiles have hit the Kurdistan region as your loyal ally, killing 22 people and injuring 100 others. Even after the ceasefire, Mr. Secretary, 20 more attacks were carried out. My question is, does that ceasefire include Iraq and the Kurdistan region? And really, what is your clear policy toward proxies? Why I'm asking this question, by President Masoud Barzani's statement, 5 times targeting his office, even targeting President of Kurdistan region residents in the Hope City.
We watch it very closely, and that area and those folks, the Kurds, deal with a lot of what the IAMGs or the proxies are capable of doing. And a reminder of the reverberating effect of this Iranian regime. It's not just what it does to its own people, killing 45,000 of its own citizens just recently, but it's also the terror they've brought to the region. And so getting a good deal and making sure they can't wield a nuclear weapon over top of those proxies is why this mission is such an important one. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so that was from the Department of War this morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Wanted to play that one in full. And before we get to a number of our news stories and interviews and really check on the 24/7 news cycle, I'd like to personally make a comment, because TMZ DC, really, TMZ, based in New York, based in LA, offices everywhere, now going there to DC. Very interesting. TMZ is the same group that laughed when Charlie Kirk was shot and killed.
That's disgusting and heartless.
Anyway, that's just my opinion. Freedom of the press, though, they're allowed there. Holy smokes. What are they getting involved with politics for? In my
People
opinion,
are honestly
really,
just evil.
that we need to be
How can you
listening
laugh
to
at
questions
somebody
like
that got
As
shot?
the secretary.
That's just so
rightly
heartless.
put, that's a very TMZ question,
So
asking
evil.
about the mind and the heart and how you physically feel when certain things happen. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, let's get back to it here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You've heard us talk about Cove Pier before. And if the water scares in Flint and East Palestine, Ohio, weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might. More than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, non-stick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there and they don't break down. And they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But here's the part that should make you and yours upset, because the EPA set legal limits for PFAs in drinking water back in 2024, but water systems have until 2031 to comply. So that's a whole 5 years from now. Until that deadline arrives, the utility can be operating above the legal limit right now and isn't required to notify you, so you're just drinking that tap water. That's why every single household needs Cove Pier. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. So which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do it yourself. And Cove Pier was actually engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters you get at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technologies actually certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, PFAs, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, filtered particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pier is they make this so easy, it sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. So don't wait for 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepier.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of Right Side Broadcasting Network, you're going to get $250 off right now. All you have to do is go to covepier.com/RSBN. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side. As you see on your screen, All Family Pharmacy. As we're right in the middle of peak allergy season, for a lot of people, it's hitting really hard right now. You're congested or have fatigue or have that run down feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. And it's not just the symptoms, it's how it affects everything else, your sleep, your energy, your focus throughout the day. Most of the time, it hits before you've had a chance to prepare, and it's something we see year after year. That's why more Americans are starting to prepare ahead instead of reacting last minute. With All Family Pharmacy, you can get access to common allergy medications like nasal sprays and inhalers, along with other prescriptions people rely on this time of year. The process is simple. You go online, you fill out a quick medical form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, your medication ships straight to your door. No extra steps, no running around, just a simpler way to handle allergy season and have what you need on hand. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use code RSBN10 to save 10% today. So at checkout, you can save 10%. Great sponsor there, allfamilypharmacy.com. All right, it is 12:46 Eastern Time. Good afternoon. Welcome once again to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. To those that have joined the broadcast since the top of the broadcast, which started at 12 Eastern, 9 out there on the West Coast. At the White House and in the Sunshine State, Florida today, the president has a 2 p.m. policy meeting in the Oval Office, and then we'll head to Donald J. Trump International Airport. Newly minted name, of course, for PBIs, the call letters for the West Palm Beach Airport. Well, President Trump will be heading to Donald J. Trump International a little bit later today via Air Force One, of course, where tonight he'll participate in an RNC spring retreat. Currently, all events are closed to the press. Of course, if anything opens up, we'll be able to be live or at least upload it for you. In national news today, some Missouri residents are slightly shaken after a 4.0 earthquake hit the region yesterday. No reports of injuries or damage there. This as a huge tornado hit Oklahoma yesterday, causing 10 injuries and significant structural damage in Garfield County, Oklahoma. We're also monitoring that wildfire we spoke about yesterday in Brantley County, Georgia. At last check, more than 5,000 acres have been burned, as 87 homes have also been burned, with hundreds more threatened. In international news today, the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire has been extended by 3 weeks. President Trump announced the extension following ambassador-level talks at the White House. He indicated no rush on a broader Iran deal. Of course, you saw that yesterday after that healthcare event. As for Operation Epic Fury, you heard a lot of the press conference details there, but specifically the Strait of Hormuz standoff. As you may know, U.S. forces have boarded vessels as President Trump has ordered action against Iranian small boats. This as a third U.S. aircraft carrier is arriving there near Iran. Now we shift over to our nation's capital. The DHS partial government shutdown has entered day 70, affecting numerous operations within the Department of Homeland Security. This, as there were seen over several miles, thick black plumes of smoke after a metro bus in D.C.'s 9th Street tunnel caught fire yesterday. There were no passengers on board at the time of the incident. Local reports from Fox 5 in D.C. say the cause is believed to be mechanical in nature. And breaking news today, another bus-related incident in the D.C. area, this time in Arlington, Virginia. According to Dave Statter and Rapid Report on X, 10 Department of War officials are among 23 injured after 2 buses collided head-on at the Pentagon Transit Center traffic circle in Arlington, Virginia. Preliminary reports reveal there was a bus crash near the Pentagon between a Fairfax connector and OmniRide colliding at around 7:19 this morning, Eastern Time. We're told one person was taken to a trauma center. The rest have non-life-threatening injuries. So if you're just joining us, again, a bus incident yesterday at that 9th Street tunnel, no passengers on board. Today, another bus incident happening in Arlington, Virginia. We're hearing preliminary reports from Rapid Report on Hegseth. 10 Department of War officials are among 23 injured after the two buses collided head-on at that Pentagon Transit Center at a traffic circle in Arlington, Virginia. So that's some of the news happening right now. Plus, left-leaning Politico is reporting that White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levin expects to have her second child next week. While on leave, Vice President Vance, cabinet officials, and potentially President Trump are expected to handle press briefings. Meantime, here are a few notable dates coming up on the president's schedule. On Monday, the president and first lady will welcome King Charles III and Queen Camilla in D.C. as part of a 4-day state visit to the United States. The next day, on Tuesday, King Charles is expected to address a joint session of Congress. In May 14th and the 15th, President Trump and the First Lady will travel to China to visit with President Xi Jinping. So, bringing you up to speed on a lot of the stories that are happening right now, whether it's nationally, internationally, in D.C., the president's schedule, all the things. It's kind of our job, right? And also on top of that, let's go now behind the scenes of air traffic control as ATC receives an upgrade thanks to the United States Department of Transportation.
Flying safe isn't just about the plane. It's the network of air traffic controllers guiding every move. For decades, that network relied on old copper wires. They're ancient, and most importantly, they break. Remember the Newark Airport mess in 2025? That was a wire failure. It shut down controllers' radios and radar. Copper, it's a thing of the past. Fiber, it's the future. We're ripping out thousands of miles of old metal and replacing them with high-speed fiber.
This is the copper that the FAA is getting away from nationwide, and we're going to fiber like you have at your house. Its durability is better, and it'll last much longer.
The new wiring that we got, it allows that connection to be stronger and to go across longer distances.
Some of the problems that we face with copper, as it ages, it starts to deteriorate, killing the signal that we send out.
The behind-the-scenes stress of the controller job is hard enough, so if they don't have to worry about the technology failing as much, that will definitely make their jobs a lot easier.
Pilots and controllers need to have communications at all times, and those communications need to be very reliable.
Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, they said it would take more than 10 years. That's absurd. We're getting this done at the speed of Trump. With fiber powering the way, we'll have faster data, less outages, and a system that's fit for the 21st century.
Which hopefully means a lot less of cancellations and delays and computer malfunctions, that kind of thing. Great to see the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, there. Meantime, President Trump is not only making Washington, D.C. safe again, but also beautiful again. Check out his recent announcement from the Oval Office.
I thought I'd bring up a subject of interest. I do a lot of this as president and try and save money. And one was the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, which everybody knows. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech and where others have likewise made great speeches and great events held there. It's very famous. It was built in 1922 and it's more than 2,000 feet long. It's 167 feet wide. It's very big. That's like taller than any skyscraper, 2,000 feet. And here's a picture of it. You probably recognize it. Right now it's got no water in it because it was in terrible shape. It was filthy dirty and it leaked like a sieve for many years. So I actually went with Secret Service and a group of people, and I took a look at it. One of the people with me was Doug Burgum, our great Secretary of the Interior. This comes under his purview, and he said, yes, we've had a lot of problems with it. It's not working. It hasn't worked for many years, and it's always filthy dirty. And I said, well, we're going to solve the problem. And they had bids to fix it. They were going to take the stone out, which was granite, very expensive, very thick, and replace it with stone. And it was going to cost $300 million. And it was going to take maybe more than 3 years. And I said, no, there's a better way of doing it. I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to call all 3 of these people that have worked for me in the past doing swimming pools. That's all they can do is a swimming pool. And I said, give me a good price. We can do it for maybe $1.5 million to $2 million as opposed to $300 million. We scrubbed the surface of the existing granite that's been there since 1922.
Oh my.
We then grouted all of the granite, fixed it up, took about 2 weeks, and now we have a nice clean surface on which we're putting a industrial grade swimming pool topping. And they said, "What color would you like, sir?" It's called American flag blue. I said, "That's the color I want. I want American flag blue." It'll last for 40 or 50 years. There'll be no leaks. There'll be no anything. It'll look gorgeous, beautiful. So it's a story in business. And here's the difference, because somebody said, "Well, sure, but one, wouldn't it be a better job?" I said, no. This is a much better job for much less money. It will look far more beautiful than it did in 1922 when they built it, much more beautiful. So we built it in much less time for much less money. But I don't mean much less, I mean numbers that nobody can even believe. So it's $1.5 million versus 300. It's 2 weeks versus more than 3 years. And that's just the way it is. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
God bless you, Trump. Always stay focused.
All right, so we saw the president there via that video, and also, of course, we heard him talk about the same thing yesterday during that live press event that happened after the healthcare affordability event. We have a pretty cool Flashback Friday we're going to get to in just a minute. Before we do that, we're going to go to some sponsors, and then we're going to go to a live interview here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to Kalshi.com. Kalshi.com, as you see there, there's 3 ways to get to Kalshi. You can download the app, you can go to the website, Kalshi.com/RSBN, you can also go to that QR code. So 3 ways to get to them. Once you're there, you'll see a number of things, including many topics: science, technology, sports, politics, faith, weather, all sorts of things where people are actually putting money on the line, betting, trading, but also just checking out polls. And there's more than 1 million people on there doing this, and it's just growing by leaps, because at the end of the day, it's great to see what people are talking about out there, what they're actually putting their money online for. So if you're just looking at it from a poll perspective, it's pretty cool to see it. Some of the questions in politics, like when will the Strait of Hormuz reopen? There's different dates that people are saying it's going to happen, that kind of thing. So it's definitely an interesting thing to do at a distance. But once you're involved, if you're betting and trading, this is the place to do it. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. As you see, Rumble Wallet, a number of people have just started to use Rumble Wallet. I recently downloaded the app as well last week. I'm checking it out. And if you've ever been curious about buying and investing in crypto, Bitcoin, stable coins, or even gold-backed stable coins, but felt like it was too complicated, Rumble Wallet is an easy way to get started. You can buy, sell, and manage your cryptocurrencies all in one place. The app is super straightforward as well. What really makes Rumble Wallet unique is that you can actually use it to tip your favorite creators like our network and support the Freedom First community we've built here on Rumble. Getting started is simple. Just download the Rumble Wallet app, sign up with your existing Rumble account, no need for a new login, and just complete a few security steps, and you're set up in minutes. You can start with just a few dollars, and with this new feature called MoonPay built into Rumble Wallet, you can easily buy crypto using your credit card, debit card, or bank wire. So if you've been thinking about the Rumble Wallet right now, click our link in the description or search Rumble Wallet in your app store. Download Rumble Wallet today and move your assets to where they belong, in your hands and your control. Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. You can see terms at wallet.rumble.com. Again, if you go to your app store, just download Rumble Wallet, peruse, check it out. And if you're super interested, go ahead and sign up and get her done, as we have some great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, we're approaching that 1 o'clock top of the hour. As of right now, all of President Trump's events are closed to the press. If anything opens up, which they have before, he has some policy meetings today before he flies to Florida for an event tonight. So we'll be on top of that. But also, if there's any breaking news, of course, you can count on us. There's a lot of other stories we're getting to in just a minute, including, before we get to our next guest, we're going to go to clip 18. Let's get a closer look at the America Reads the Bible event going on this week, and our next guest will dive in and we'll talk about it.
On April 18 through 25, leaders and citizens from across the nation will gather in Washington, D.C. for America Reads the Bible, a public week-long reading of Scripture from Genesis to Revelation taking place at the Museum of the Bible. You don't have to come all the way to Washington, D.C. to be a part of this amazing national gathering, though. We are excited to partner with Great American PureFlix for a free live stream of America Reads the Bible so that churches, families, schools, and small groups across America can gather in their communities to watch and participate together. Start planning now for who you might invite to watch the live stream of America Reads the Bible with you. Visit AmericaReadsTheBible.com and sign up now for the link to the live stream and tune in to Great American PureFlix from April 18 to 25. We'll see you there.
That is so
And joining us
amazing
now
to
is the
hear.
National Religious Broadcasters President, Troy Miller, to talk more
God
about
bless.
America Reads the Bible, this initiative, and also a number of other topics, of course, that Troy and I like to talk about on occasion. So thanks so much for joining us, Troy.
And thank you for the likes.
Definitely. All right, so we know that this is going on for one more day. How awesome is something like this, that the entire Bible is being read, I think it's 12 hours per day for, what, 6 days?
Yeah, for 6 days, almost 7 days. I think it'll wrap up here tomorrow. I'm actually reading tomorrow, so I'm here in Washington, D.C. for that. And I think it's incredibly exciting. I think Bunny Pounds and her team and the team that put this together had a great vision from God that would read the entire scripture over our country and really around the world and around the globe. I think people participating from every continent here. So it's an incredible, I don't think anything like this has happened before in our history.
No, it's great to see it. And we look back at our founding fathers. I mean, they were believers in the Bible as well. And we know that it is the most selling or the most popular book basically out there in the world. And you think about some of the countries out there that ban the Bible. They don't want the Bible. There are no churches, that kind of thing. Why do you think that is?
Well, look, a lot of countries, particularly communist countries, dictatorships, they're afraid of the Bible. You know, our founding fathers understood that our freedoms and the fundamental moral fiber of society comes from the Judeo-Christian scriptures, and that those inalienable rights, as it says in the Declaration, that were provided to us by our Creator. And look, there's a lot of countries around the world, and ours is somewhat heading into this direction. Certain people would like to see the government as the one that is the foundation where we get our direction, our moral compass, and all of our hope from. But we know that it's bigger than that, and that's why
I
the
get
Bible
that
is
from
so
my
clear.
Lord and Savior.
Exactly.
I'm not
and then you
following
think about
man.
the lion of the tribe of Judah, right?
I'm not
we
obeying
are more
man.
of a lion type
Man's
of
not gonna
person
get
when it
you
comes
to
to we the
heaven.
people
Christ
instead of the sheeple where you just follow a government, whatever the government says,
no.
right? I mean, and nothing against this particular government here in the States, but that at the end of the day is what communists and tyrants want, is for us to bow to them, right?
Oh no, exactly. Not only bow to them, but really worship them in the fullest sense that they are our providers. They are the ones who issue our rights. They are the ones who decide our purpose and even our value. And yet we know that the scriptures tell us that we were made in the image of God. And it is God that has defined our values. He's defined the morality that we should live by. And that our purpose is defined in the scriptures themselves. And as you said, that creates a nation of lions. That creates a nation of people. Our founding fathers understood it was the constitutional republic that the people, the democracy part, was that the people were at the highest pinnacle of authority.
Exactly. And that's why it starts out with that, we the people of the United States, right? Let's talk about the scriptures that you are going to be reading. Which book? And by the way, obviously you're in the New Testament because it's been almost the 6 days tomorrow of the final day of the reading. So you're reading on the final day. So are you in James or Revelation?
Hebrews. So we're right before that, right before James. Actually, our team, I think, is Hebrews 4 all the way through James 1. I'm reading my favorite verses, some of my favorite chapters, Hebrews 8, 9, and 10. It'll be the chapters that I'll be reading tomorrow evening, and so just excited about this.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so where can people watch? I mean, is this something that they specifically have to go to the America Reads the Bible, is it .com.org? Do you know where people can watch?
Yeah, you can go to americareadsthebible.org. You can go to nrb.org. We have links there for you to get to this and where to find it online. So there's just a number of places. But just go into your search engine and say America Reads the Bible. It's going to bring you to the outlet, and you'll see all the places where it's being streamed live.
Awesome. We look forward to that. The National Religious Broadcasters President Troy Miller, thanks again for joining us. I just want to throw you a curveball. Any stories that you've been seeing out there in that 24/7 news cycle that you'd like to chime in on? You can pick anyone, or I can help you out if you'd like.
Oh, well, look, there's a number of them here. I'm a Navy veteran. I actually spent time in the Persian Gulf, so look, we've been tracking what's going on over there a lot. We have a lot of our ministries. We have ministries working in Iran. We know the Christian persecution that's going on there. So we're really hoping that and behind the president to see this through. It's going to bring peace to the Middle East and peace to the people in Iran.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your insight on that and your coverage. National Religious Broadcasters President Troy Miller, thanks again for joining us, and we look to hearing chapters 8, 9, and 10, you said, right?
Correct.
All right, definitely awesome for the America Reads the Bible initiative. Troy, thanks so much for what you do for the country. Definitely, Troy. Thank you. Awesome to have Troy Miller join us once again here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Always good to interview various folks throughout the country. Let's go to a few of our sponsors before we move on with our live broadcast. You see Birch Gold Group right there. When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than 12,000%, and that's why central banks and many others out there are buying gold at record levels. At RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group, but it all starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. Sign up to get free silver on your next purchase and get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. So the dollar lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. Text the word Trump to the number you see there on your screen, 989898, to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Again, text Trump to 989898 today. Also, this live stream broadcast brought to you by this great sponsor right here, as you see, covepure.com/RSBN. And if you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and if those water scares in Flint, Michigan, and East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to get you to make the switch, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with these PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there, they don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and even increased cancer risk. But here's the part that should make you and yours a bit upset, because the EPA set legal limits for PFAs in drinking water back in 2024. But water systems have until 2031 to comply. It's a whole 5 years from now. Until that deadline arrives, a utility can be operating above that legal limit right now and isn't required to notify you, so you're just drinking that water. That's why every single household needs Cove Pure. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate, they're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. Which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do this yourself. And Cove Pure was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters that you see at the store out there, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So the PFAs, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pure is to make this so easy, it just sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. You don't have to wait till 2031. You can take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of this broadcast, you'll get $250 off right now. Again, it's covepier.com/RSBN. All right, just great to join us. Earlier was Troy Miller with the National Religious Broadcasters. But let's do this. Let's just shift gears dramatically quickly. Let's go back to 2016 for a Flashback Friday. We have a number of stories to get to, a number of interviews to get to as well. But July 19th of 2016, the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, Ohio, when Republican Donald Trump was officially nominated for president. Let's go to Flashback Friday. Let's go to clip 16 as we continue our live broadcast right here on RSBN Live.
95 delegates with the following bound delegates. 89 Trump, 6 Kasich.
Madam Secretary, New York, the Empire State, proud to be the home of Donald J. Trump, and proud that we were the first state to cast a majority of our primary votes for Donald Trump. Proud that he won 61 of our 62 counties and more than 60% of the vote. And we are proud that we have as one of our delegates, Donald J. Trump, Jr.
Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you to my family, Eric, Ivanka, Vanessa, Laura, Tiffany, everyone here, all of our supporters in the great state of New York, even in the places that aren't so conservative. We've had such incredible support, you won't believe it. We're going to put New York into play this time around. I have the incredible honor of not only being a part of the ride that's been this election process, and to watch as a small fly on the wall what my father has done in creating this movement, because it's not a campaign anymore, it's a movement. Speaking to real Americans, giving them a voice again. And it is my honor to be able to throw Donald Trump over the top in the delegate count tonight with 89 delegates and another 6 for John Kasich. Congratulations, Dad, we love you!
God bless Trump. Glory to our Lord and Savior.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules of this convention, New York, 6 votes Kasich, 89 votes Donald J. Trump.
July 19th, 2016, Cleveland, Ohio. Donald J. Trump officially nominated as the Republican nominee for president on this Flashback Friday. One thing I want to point out from that video, did you notice at the end, the CNN reporter at the time, I think it was Donna Bash, walks up to Donald Trump Jr. Isn't that interesting? As soon as Donald J. Trump becomes the nominee, and of course CNN was probably, saying, oh, he's not going to win or whatever. But as soon as he becomes officially the nominee, CNN is already right there to start their hate propaganda campaign against Donald J. Trump back in 2016. Did you notice?
Exactly.
If you missed it, maybe just replay and check it out. You can also check it out on my Truth Social at Matthew Alvarez if you'd like to follow over there, or go to X at Matthew US Media. But again, if you're just kind of listening this time to what I'm saying. CNN, they walked up, there was a microphone right away. As soon as it was official, they found their way because, of course, it was game on. But then we know that President Trump has called them a few names. Fake news CNN. But anyway. And then all the chants at all the rallies, CNN sucks by all the people. It was, it's Flashback Friday, man. It's 10 years ago that happened. All right, let's do this. Let's go to a newly posted video from the Department of Justice. So a newly announced Scam Center strike force is fully operational. Let's check out this clip.
The criminal division's work with the Scam Center Strike Force and Homeland Security Task Force brings together multiple components, as I mentioned. The State Department, Department of Homeland Security, Treasury, who are all following President Trump's leadership to take down these scam centers and stop them from robbing Americans.
Cyber-enabled and cryptocurrency investment fraud, known as pig butchering by the criminals, is among the fastest growing and the most financially devastating form of cybercrime that is targeting Americans today. As a result, President Trump has issued an executive order combating cybercrime, fraud, and predatory schemes against American citizens, establishing a clear whole-of-government strategy to confront cyber-enabled crime and transnational scam operations, bringing together law enforcement, intelligence, diplomatic, and financial tools.
The newly formed DOJ Scam Center Strike Force combines the power, reach, and resources of the U.S. Attorney's Office with the Department of Justice Criminal Division, the FBI, and the U.S. Secret Service to crack down and disrupt these schemes. The strike force is investigating the worst scam compounds, or call centers, as we call them, located in Southeast Asia.
Now, the workers, though, who responded to these jobs, they end up posing as banks, as police officers, as prosecutors. They sound like Americans, directing Americans to fork over their money or be prosecuted. They have backgrounds and backdrops where they actually look like they are from an official agency. Folks, this isn't abstract. It is hitting your neighbors, your friends, and your parents' retirement accounts. Some of these victims are so distraught that they end up taking their own lives. This is economic homicide.
That's awful.
We have seized the sites, and we are coming for the rest. These criminals thought they were untouchable because they were overseas. Today, we are proving them wrong, and we are just getting started. President Trump has launched a new theater of war against Chinese transnational organized crime.
All right, so from the Department of Justice, let's go to the U.S. Coast Guard, because in the Southeast United States, they have conducted 6 rescues in just a week. Here are some of the highlights from our great military. Isn't that great to see the U.S. Coast Guard out there rescuing many people, 6 people just in the Southeast in the past week, so great to see that. And it makes me think about the Department of Homeland Security and how it is still a partial government shutdown, and the U.S. Coast Guard is one of the branches being affected by the lack of funding, as we're seeing slowly, finally, a hopeful reopening of the government, specifically when it comes to DHS, so we'll see when that happens. Of course, we'll report on that as well. We're going to get into just kind of a news kind of update here in just a little bit. National news, international, of course, in D.C., and also A number of other things going on out there in just a minute, but let's go to Dr. Oz first. He says it's time for a nationwide audit of Medicaid. Here's that video in clip 6.
Governors, I'm calling on you to act now. Fraudsters and other bad actors are draining Medicaid funds, costing taxpayers billions every year. Worse, it's taking resources away from the people who need them the most, our seniors, our children, and Americans with disabilities. This steals people's health as well, and in some cases, even their lives. Here's the bottom line. It's time to make sure that providers of high-risk services are valid and meet all the requirements to deliver care to Medicaid beneficiaries. Now, for some states, this is years overdue. So don't wait for a long-term plan. That's coming. But it's not a substitute for action today. So here's the deal. Within 10 business days, the American people need to know, will you move forward with making sure that providers are revalidated and can be trusted with the care of our most vulnerable citizens? And in 30 days, they need to know what's your timeline and what's your scope. Since Medicaid is administered by the states, you know where the risks are highest. Where are the providers operating with weaker oversight? For example, those without national provider identifiers. These are the gaps that criminals, including foreign nationals, exploit. Revalidation works. It forces accountability. It removes bad actors. And it sends a clear message. The Medicaid system is not an unguarded piggy bank. States have the authority to define high-risk providers. And CMS expects you to provide those most vulnerable to abuse. And my team is ready to help in any way possible. We'll provide technical support every step of the way. This is a shared responsibility. State and federal partners working together to protect Medicaid and the Americans it serves.
All right, we saw Dr. Oz live at the Oval Office alongside President Trump and RFK Jr. and others yesterday during that healthcare affordability event with Regeneron. Of course, we also heard the questions from the press just yesterday live right here on Right Side. Before we bring in our next live guest, before we continue our 24/7 news cycle discussion of what's going on out there, let's go to a few sponsors, including All Family Pharmacy. Of course, we're right in the middle of peak allergy season, and for a lot of people, it's hitting hard right now. Congestion, fatigue, and that rundown feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. And it's not just the symptoms, it's how it affects everything else. Your sleep, your energy, your focus throughout the day. Most of the time it hits before you've had a chance to prepare, and it's something we see year after year. That's why more Americans are starting to prepare ahead instead of reacting last minute. With All Family Pharmacy, you can get access to common allergy medications like nasal sprays and inhalers, along with other prescriptions people rely on this time of year. And the process for all of this is literally simple. You go online, you fill out a quick medical form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, your medication ships straight to your door. Sounds pretty quick, right? Again, they're going to review it. They're not going to send you it. They'll review your medical request. No extra step. Simply handle allergy season and have what you need on hand. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code today. Again, save 10% today. Use that RSBN10 promo code as we continue on with our next sponsor, including Birch Gold Group, as you see there on your screen. When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than 12,000%. That's why central banks and others out there are buying gold at record levels. And here at RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. But this really starts with education, because Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. It's a free online event that rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. You can sign up to get free silver on your next purchase, and you can get even larger incentives as you go. So basically, the more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. The dollar lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. You text the word Trump there to the number you see on your screen, 989898. You'll join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th, of course, about 6 days from now. Text Trump to 989898 today. Again, you get that free info kit as well. Great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 1:24 Eastern Time. Joining us now is conservative cartoonist and a friend of the show, A.F. Branco. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side.
Well, thank you for having me, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to have you back. Always fun to talk about the great cartoons that you have out there. We're going to look at one in just a minute. Did you hear about the Stop Nick Shirley Act by some Democrat in California? They proposed this. I just want to hear what your reaction is to the wackadoo types out there.
I guess my response to that would be, what do they have to hide? It sounds like they're really going out of their way to hide something. And of course I had to do a cartoon about it, and I have it on my website. But yeah, it's the Democrats are, they're running their party like a criminal institution.
Exactly.
And that's my take on it.
Yeah,
basically.
They should call that the Stop the Truth Act, because that's what they're, right? That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Stop the Nick Shirley Act. They should just literally come out and say, please, God, family, country, we don't like any of that. Let's just stop the Truth Act. We don't want any of that in America, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it started in Minnesota, a lot of this stuff, and then giving how Minnesota conducted themselves and how they tried to the truth
and finding out
how they treated Nick Shirley there. It seems like they're not very willing to expose their own corruption, and I have a feeling that this corruption, all this money bleeds right into the Democrat Party somehow, and they're benefiting some way from all this fraud. And I think if you go to Washington State, where I live, I imagine you're going to find a lot there run by Democrats. I think every blue state and some red states, but I'm sure that the red states will figure out a way to work with the government instead of trying to obfuscate it and try to block them.
Exactly. What is it like living in Washington State, in the sense of, do you have any conservative friends out there?
Well, believe it or not, we do. And if you look at the map, the voting map, predominantly, like most states, everything is red except these little blue spots of cancer that are like in Olympia or Seattle. And so pretty much the west side of Washington State is Democrat, but there are a lot of conservatives here also. So, if I, once in a while I'll crawl under the barbed wire and go to another state. My mom lives in Montana, and I have friends in Tennessee, and thank goodness for technology, because I communicate a lot with them, quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's awesome to have FaceTime and be able to talk to somebody across the country or across the world if need be. But the point is, you look at Eastern Washington, you look at Oregon, Eastern Oregon, they just want to be part of Idaho. I mean, is that movement still going on, or is that just a pipe dream, you think?
I keep hearing about it. I don't know how much of a movement it is and how effective that's going to be to get it changed or anything like that. But the people just don't majority of the people just don't go along with this. A lot of the policies that our governor's putting forward are actually unconstitutional according to the state even. But I think it all stems back to mail-in voting. The last time we had a chance at having a Republican governor was Dino Rossi, I believe, and they started the mail-in voting, and it seemed like, and initially he won. So he was like 500 votes ahead or so. I can't remember the exact number. So they did a recount. Well, he was still ahead on the second recount. Well, somehow they found a bunch of ballots in a trunk of a car or a bathroom somewhere, and they pulled them out, and finally Dino Rossi lost. And I think it's all corruption, and I think it's all stems to this mail-in voting thing.
I'll tell you what, most likely, and this is just for comedy purposes only, but those mail-in ballots are most likely in the bathroom, if you know what I mean. Because these are, what we're seeing with the Save America Act is, we know it's about voter ID, we know it's about proof of citizenship, but one of the big ones too is the no mail-in ballots, except for military and medical. I mean, that really would really help. But I don't know if this Save America Act is going to pass. That's not me saying I don't want it to pass. I want it to pass, but I don't know how it's going to. Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, in my mailbox here in Washington State, I get ballots from other people. You know, I have a relative who was staying at our residence for a while, and he's a liberal. And I remember his ballot came to my mailbox, and I teased him over the phone. I said, well, he says, your ballot's here, but don't worry about it. I'll fill it out for you and send it in. He said, you better not. But anyway, I get ballots. And so I think I'm not an isolated case. I think this is happening all across the state. I think people, they just blanket the land with ballots. So you know that a good chunk of them, especially in a communist state like Washington, there's going to be some.
Thank you for the like.
I'm not sure if you saw it on X, but that one map of the United States, and it shows all the little dots growing since 2020, showing all of the illegal immigrants coming into the country. I mean, there's millions and millions and millions of them. As ICE is doing what they can do, as Border Patrol is doing what they can do, the military as well. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what the Democrats want to have, is just destroying this country. I believe they hate the Constitution. And I'm talking about the extreme ones here. I'm not saying every Democrat out there and every citizen I'm not saying that. But at the core of what this is a hate for what we love.
Absolutely.
It's power, it's complete power, absolute power. And they know that they're on the 20 side of every 80-20 issue. People.
Thank you for tuning in, and God bless you guys.
Population as a whole does not like their policies. So what they have to do is they have to import voters, and they figured this out a long time ago. If they want to implement their agenda, they're going to have to import voters, because the majority of Americans just aren't buying it. And that's where we're at.
I want to give a quick shout out to those of you watching in Washington State, maybe near where A.F. Franco is. Thank you for being a viewer here, but also just, hey, we're with you. You know, we are all about we the people, and especially those in Oregon as well, and Idaho, and the whole region of the earth, Montana, the Dakotas. Anyway.
Tear down that wall.
Exactly. Let's take a look at one of your most recent cartoons. Let's go all the way to Virginia for this one, about the good old governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger. It seems that a good amount of career politicians do what she did. Kind of like, hey, I'm this way, and then they bait and switch your, you know what, and go the other way, don't they?
Absolutely, that's exactly what she did. She claimed she wasn't going to go after guns or the Second Amendment. She claimed she wasn't going to do a lot of the leftist things that she's doing, the rigging the election, basically, redistricting. Now she's going after guns. I do a cartoon for a couple of cartoons a month for Guns and Ammo magazine, and they were all over this as far as me doing a cartoon for them, and then I just came out with this cartoon with Spanberger. But that's what Democrats have done for years. They run to the center, and then Republicans very seldom run to the center. They stay conservative basically when they're running for election. But Democrats, you'll notice, they run to the center or a little bit conservative while they're running, and as soon as they get in there, boom, they back right over to the left.
Yeah,
and that's what she did.
That's a sleazy move, you know. That's a bait and switch. It's dishonest. It's against our country. And then what I can't stand is when some of them talk about the Constitution and we the people, and they start throwing those terms around. I'm like, you guys are full of it, and you know it.
Yeah, they only use the Constitution or the Bible when it advances their narrative. Other than that, remember when they booed God at one of their conventions? Yeah. That was people were outraged at that. But they'll bring up the Bible, especially like when Trump is featured healing somebody on a bench with a robe on. Right away they went, oh, he can't do that, although they probably on their own walls have pictures of Obama as the Messiah. So they're just hypocritical. They do whatever they can do to attack Trump and the conservatives. And of course, you've probably heard about
disgusting how they are with
Southern
Trump.
Poverty Law Center, what they've been caught doing, advancing racism, taking donor money and funding KKK and some of these white wing outfits. That's what they do. They're not legitimately.
Thank you for the like.
They're not above board on almost anything they do. It's all about any way they can get power.
Well, Jesus said, "You know them by their fruit." So you see what
Absolutely.
their actions are, even if and those actions, of course, speak louder than their words.
Yes.
And then on top of that, to your point about the Bible, they take the Bible scripture and they rip some scripture out of context. And then they say that this is what the Bible says about it, though.
And that's what we're not supposed to do.
Yeah, Jesus is a communist. Is what they're trying to portray Jesus as. And there's a lot of scripture that are absolutely the opposite of that narrative.
Exactly. Where can people find all of your great work? It's always fun to see your cartoons that you have out there.
Well, they can find me, all my cartoons I post at comicallyincorrect.com. They can get me at True Social, AF Branco, or at AF Branco. Also X on X at AF Branco. So I'm always there.
Awesome. So outside of some of these new cartoons, do you have a few that are in the docket that are getting ready to come out, or is it kind of like, what's the process for you? Or can you shine some light on what you may be coming out with soon?
Well, I have something coming out probably Sunday on Elon Omar, and then Monday I have something coming out on the Southern Poverty Law Center and that facade. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Everything I do is like on top of the news, but as I'm working on it in the day, it isn't posted until the next day. So usually it's yesterday's news when you see it, or kind of bleeds together. And a lot of times issues will run a couple of days. So the cartoon stays relevant. A lot of times cartoons don't have a very long shelf life, although I see a lot of my cartoons being reposted because some of these issues aren't going away and they've been around since I started this.
I mean, that's a great point. They say in the news business that story has legs, meaning it keeps on walking, keeps on going. What is it like to see your work out there when you see people just posting your cartoons? And then also, second question, do you just see the image in your mind and you just, how do you do it? I mean, you can't give out all the secret sauce, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, when I started this, I didn't start this for money. I was really frustrated with what was going on, and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck had said that everybody can do something to advance the cause or get the message out there, and that's why I started doing it. I started posting it early on when Facebook started, and Twitter. That I started posting them there, and I gained a somewhat of a following, and it just kept growing. So I'm okay. What was the second question? That was
just basically when you're actually in that creative space. I mean, do you just kind of see the image of the cartoon in your mind? Like, how do you just do what you do? I don't know how to do that. I have no idea.
Well, I'm better at illustrating my thoughts than to speak my thoughts. That's what. So I get these images in my head. I try to find some humor around it. What would be funny, and a lot of times things are just popping in my head when I'm reading an issue or listening to the news. I don't know how I do it. I don't. It just happens.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
it
great.
isn't always perfect, but I try.
No, definitely. It's definitely a gift. And I think that's what's cool about mankind. I mean, everybody that's watching this broadcast right now, there is a gift that only you can provide to the world. I really believe it. I really believe it.
And sometimes that's just sitting in a break room at your work and somebody says something. Don't be quiet. You don't have to be rude. Just bring up questions. A lot of times you can advance your thoughts by just asking questions and not do it rudely. Some people are good at speaking. Some people are good at drawing. Some people are good, like yourself. You're good at what you do behind a microphone and a camera, and that's not my forte. Although I do it. I try to jump out of my comfort zone, but that's what it's all about: jumping outside of your comfort zone, because definitely the left is doing it. And they're doing it with a lot of vengeance, and
Hatred,
we really need to.
violence.
Everybody needs to get fired up for this next election, because once they take
That's
back,
all they're
if they
doing.
get power back, it's over. We cannot
God
afford for them to win an election, and I hope they don't.
No, I agree with you. I hope that they don't win as well, but we're also working hard, praying hard, getting the job done, getting out the vote. We're really pushing, of course, for the Save America Act to pass, but we know that it's an uphill climb right now, and we just keep talking about it. It's that information war, and we know that the mainstream media, they try and pull attention to certain ways, but we the people are not idiots. We know the truth. We know that we love God, family, country. It's simple stuff. They want to make it so complicated. It's about freedom.
No, it's about freedom. It's about less control, government control. Democrats want more government control. They want to control every aspect of your life. And sometimes I get more frustrated at the GOP for not seeming to understand a lot of that and playing this gentleman's game. Thune, I mean, if we had somebody with the cojones of, say, Pelosi, a lot of things would be getting done on our side. But it seems, I'm saying that that Pelosi, although she was on the left, she got things done. I don't know how she did it, but she went around and grabbed everybody, by the collar and said, "You're doing this." And I don't know if she used blackmail or what she did, but she got her side's issues done. And it seems like both the leader of the House, and I don't mean to beat up on them, maybe they're doing their best, but it doesn't seem like they have the wherewithal to be able to push these issues through that we need done.
And a number of them are President Trump's agenda, the Save America Act and on. So conservative cartoonist A.F. Branco, thanks for spending the time with us. Have a great day and a great weekend, and we look forward to having you on again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Great to speak with A.F. Branco there, conservative cartoonist who some of his cartoons were in the late, great Rush Limbaugh's newsletters back in the day. So it is an honor to speak with A.F. Branco, and I think he does a great job on camera, by the way. It's 1:42, Friday, April 24th. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. So there's three ways to get to Kalshi, right? So you can go to the app in your app store. You can go to the QR code, or you can just type in Kalshi.com/RSBN. There's a ton of topics on Kalshi.com where people are betting, trading, or just checking out various polls. You can do the same if you'd like. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to Rumble Wallet as well. A number of people have downloaded and started using Rumble Wallet. And if you've ever been curious about buying and investing in crypto or Bitcoin or gold-backed stable coins, but felt like it was just too complicated, Rumble Wallet is an easy way to get started. You can buy, sell, and manage your cryptocurrencies all in one place. And the app is simply super straightforward. What really makes Rumble Wallet unique is that you can use it to tip your favorite creators like our network and support the Freedom First community we've built here on Rumble. Getting started is simple. Just download the Rumble Wallet app, sign up with your existing Rumble account, and there's no need for a new login. Complete a few security steps and you're set up in minutes. You can start with just a few dollars, and with MoonPay built right into Rumble Wallet, you can easily buy crypto using your credit card, debit card, or bank wire. So if you've been thinking about the advantages of crypto, you can download Rumble Wallet right now. You can click our link in the description or search Rumble Wallet in your app store. Download Rumble Wallet today and move your assets to where they belong, in your hands and in your control. Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. So you can see more terms at wallet.rumble.com. Rumble Wallet, another great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 1:43 Eastern Time. Let's go to a commercial break here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Welcome to Right.
Thank you guys so much for all the likes, and I do pray that you're enjoying the live stream. there's definitely a lot happening in the world, and keep Trump in your prayers because the enemy is attacking him on every side of him, you know. He's not perfect, and there's a lot of things there's some stuff I don't agree with him, but we can agree to disagree, and that's the beauty of it, you know. We don't always have to agree on everything. But when it comes to him, he stands for what the Bible stands for. And when it comes to Kamala and Biden, they were all for destroying America, putting our lives in danger, making us a laughingstock, and going against, most importantly, the Bible. I will have nothing to do with that. I am happy that I voted for Trump. And in my opinion, he's the best president we've ever had. And I am happy too that he's a follower of Christ. I just pray that he stays aligned and faithful and keep walking the path that Christ has, that Christ is taking him.
Because these countries have been bordering each other for many, many years, and it doesn't happen much, although they like each other. I found that out today, and I've sort of heard about that. They actually like each other, Lebanon and Israel. And we had a great meeting with the very high officials of Lebanon and very high officials of Israel, and we think that the president of Lebanon and the prime minister of Israel over the next couple of weeks will be coming here. They've agreed to an additional 3 weeks of, no firing, ceasefire, no more firing. Let's see. We hope that happens. It's not going to happen between that, but they do have Hezbollah to think about. And we're going to be working with Lebanon to get things straightened out in that country. I really believe it's something we can do pretty easily, just with the power of who we are, the great people, the Lebanese people. We have our ambassador here who has done a fantastic job, ambassador to Lebanon from the United States. And we had a great conversation, and I think it's the beginning of something very important. It'd be a wonderful thing to get this worked out simultaneously with what we're doing in Iran. And I'd like to start by just asking JD, our Vice President, our great Vice President, to say a few words, and then Marco will speak, and then the representatives from the country. Mike Huckabee, you'll say a few words, Mike. You've done a great job, by the way. I appreciate it. Everybody does. And JD, please.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, congratulations. Congratulations to you and our Secretary of State, but most importantly, congratulations to the people of Israel and Lebanon. I think it's a major historic moment. We're going to extend the ceasefire for 3 weeks that's already in place between Israel and Lebanon. Of course, it wouldn't have happened without the president's direct engagement. The fact that you have these leaders of different countries coming together for the first time, they came together in the Oval Office, and they came together because of energetic diplomacy, of course, led by the President of the United States. So I think it's a big moment for the world. It's a big moment for our country, but just very proud to be a part of it. So thank you, sir, for making it happen.
Thank you very much, JD.
Thank you, Mr. President, for hosting this. Actually, the president wanted to be personally involved, and I'm glad he was, because it made it possible to get this extension, and it gives everybody time to continue to work on what's going to be a permanent peace between two countries that want to be at peace. Both are victimized by the same terrorist organization, a terrorist organization that no doubt has victimized Israel, but has also victimized the people of Lebanon. The people of Lebanon deserve to live in a country that's peaceful and prosperous. They have an opportunity to do that. They have a history of that. And what's standing in the way is an organization that operates, a terrorist organization that operates within their national territory that threat needs to be eliminated. And so thank you, Mr. President, for this gathering today and for convening and being a key part of it. And it inspires us time to continue to work. I'm very optimistic that in a few weeks we'll be even closer to the kind of permanent peace that the people of Israel and Lebanon deserve.
Thank you very much. Michelle, please.
Well, I would like to thank the President, the Vice President, and Secretary to make this historical meeting today that bring two countries that have never been next to each other more than today in a way. This is 60, 70 years in the making, and today is really the historical day. Thank you, Mr. President, Vice President, Secretary, and we're going to keep going, working for a peace that hopefully we'll get it as soon as possible.
Thank you. You're a very successful man. And when I asked him if he'd like to be ambassador to Lebanon, I said, could be a dangerous job. He said, well, I'm Lebanese. I was born in Lebanon, and the parents have a whole big history. He said, danger doesn't matter to me, really. It's something I want to do. He's very successful. He didn't need this. And I think it's probably more dangerous than you even thought, but you've done a fantastic job. So.
It is an honor for me to serve you, Mr. President, and then I'm going to go till the end.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And likewise, Mike Huckabee, we all know Mike, and he didn't need it either, did he? But he's doing a fantastic job. Mike, go ahead, please.
I just want to say, Mr. President, what an amazing opportunity to be here at a moment of history. The people of Lebanon, the people of Israel are neighbors, and they want to get along. They can get along. But it's like neighbors who have a rough little kid living in the neighborhood who keeps throwing rocks at everybody's window. And if the kid will quit throwing rocks, the neighbors can get along and start actually working together. The president has initiated something that is truly bringing the neighborhood back to a neighborhood and recognizing that the problem is not Lebanon, that the problem is not Israel. The problem is Hezbollah, the bad little kid throwing rocks. That's what the president is getting launched today, to get that little kid out of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Mr. Ambassador, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your hospitality, for bringing Israel and Lebanon together here in the Oval Office. Israel wants peace with Lebanon, and Israel wants security for its citizens. We're united with the Lebanese government in wanting to rid the country of this malign influence called Hezbollah. And now that, Mr. President, under your leadership, Iran has been so degraded, the possibility of degrading Hezbollah and liberating Lebanon from their occupation is real. So we hope that together under your leadership, we can formalize peace between Israel and Lebanon in the very near future. And we are just very thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you, and I look forward to having the next meeting with your great Prime Minister. It's a wartime Prime Minister with Bibi and with the President of Lebanon. It will be fantastic. I think lots going to happen. Madam Ambassador.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, President Trump. Thank you for your leadership, for making sure to be presiding over this historic moment. I want to really say thank you to the United States under your leadership for all your effort to help and to support Lebanon. And I think with your help, with your support, we can make Lebanon great again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I like that phrase.
That was nice.
That's a good phrase.
And IGA.
Thank you very much. I think we will. Any questions? Yeah, please.
President Trump, Anthony Murshak from MTV Lebanon.
Yes.
First, thank you for having us in the White House
Thank
for
you very
the year and a half. This is historical for our audience as well. We would like to ask you three questions. First question, the peace between Lebanon and Israel. Do you think it will happen this year?
I think it has a great chance. I mean, you know, they're friends about the same things and they're enemies on the same things, and it has to do with, I guess you could say, a couple of countries, but certainly it's, you look at Hezbollah, that's where everybody seems to be united against them. So they are both very united in that way. Yeah. I think there's a very good chance of having peace. I think it should be an easy one. Relative to some of the things we're working on, it should be an easy one. But it's been so many years because nobody focused on it. But Lebanon was a great country. It was a beautiful country, smart people, very brilliant people, doctors, professors, economists, some of the smartest people on the planet. But it got torn apart by different factions and nothing having to do with them, outside factors. So I think it can be brought back pretty quickly.
And when do you think our president will meet Netanyahu here at the White House?
I think we'll do it over during this period of time, during the 3-week period, ideally. I'd like to suggest over the 3-week ceasefire. You can do that. We're here. We're doing it in the Oval Office.
And regarding Hezbollah, he's not responding to our government. He's doing whatever he wants. What do you say for Hezbollah? And do you
Israel has to, we're just talking about it. Israel is going to have to defend itself if they're shot at, and they will. I would never say that they can't. It would be nice if they wouldn't have to bother with that, but if something happens, they're going to have to defend themselves, as you know. But they're going to do it carefully, and they're going to be surgical as opposed to beyond surgical, and there's a lot they can do, but Israel's going to have to defend itself.
And regarding our Lebanese speaker, Nabil Qureshi reportedly told Prince Yazid bin Farhan that Lebanon will not move forward with peace unless Saudi Arabia is involved. What is your reaction to that statement, and do you believe Saudi Arabia must play a central role in a potential Lebanon-Israel peace process?
Well, Saudi Arabia is great, and they have a great leader, and I think that they'd be very happy with this. I haven't spoken to them, I will.
Thank you for the like. If you all knew, please hit the subscribe button.
They're great people, great place, incredible place. I know it very well. But I know the leader very well, and he'd want to see something like this happen. He's a tremendous guy.
Yeah. Sir, and make Lebanon great again. This is our slogan on MTV Lebanon. Make America great again. And make Lebanon great again is our slogan on MTV Lebanon that all the Lebanese and our audience are putting hope on Mr. President.
Make Lebanon great again.
Make Lebanon great again.
It's a good slogan. It works for here. I think it's maybe the greatest political slogan in the history of the world, make America great again. But, we're great now, so I will never say that we won't use that slogan, MAGA. But we have another one, America is back. Where's that at? Does anybody have that? No, yeah, that's the old one, and then show them the new one. And we're never changing MAGA. I don't have the courage to change MAGA. Make America great again. But, we're great now. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the most powerful country in the world by far. And we suffered years of abuse by people that were grossly incompetent, like Biden, like Obama. Obama was incompetent. He was a great divider. And we're a great country again. We're respected all over the world. That's why this happened so fast. I mean, it can happen fast. Thank you.
Sir, the funding that Hezbollah gets from Iran, is Iran going to have to cut that off to do a deal with you?
Yeah, they'll have to cut that
That's
off.
a must for you.
Yeah, sure. That's a must, yeah.
Mr. President, apparently there was a special forces soldier who was involved in the capture of Venezuelan President Maduro, who was arrested by federal authorities today on suspicion of insider trading and betting on Polymarket. Are you concerned that federal employees are betting on these prediction markets and potentially getting rich?
Well, I don't know about it, but was he betting that they would get him?
It sounds like he was betting on his removal from office, that Maduro would be removed. It sounds like he was involved in the operation.
That's like Pete Rose betting on his own team. That's a little like Pete Rose. Pete Rose had kept him out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on his own team. Now, if he bet against his team, that would be no good, but he bet on his own team. I'll look into it, yeah.
There are also bets that they're being placed as well on the Iran conflict, too, and there have been some trackings where people suspect that there's insider trading happening on these prediction markets around the war. Are you concerned about that?
The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is. No, I think that I'm not happy with any of that stuff, but they have all these different sites. They have predictive markets. It's a crazy world. It's a much different world than it was.
We talked about the Fed's renovation. Can someone other than the Justice Department find out the things you said you wanted to learn?
Well, good. I mean, look, it's pretty easy. When you look with Jerome Powell, I have a real problem because he should have been lowering interest rates a long time ago. And despite that, we fought through it, and we have the greatest economy we've ever had. You take a look, I mean, I don't know what the market is today, but we've broken every record over the last few days. And this is during a military operation or war, whatever you want to call it. It makes no difference as far as I'm concerned. But we have this unbelievable economy. The S&P has a new record. The Dow is right at a new record. We already broke the record with the Dow. People said it wouldn't happen in 4 years. They said in 4 years it won't be able to be possible to break 50,000, and we broke it with the Dow. And I'm actually a little bit surprised that we're breaking it constantly, even now, during this conflict. Because when we broke it, I called a lot of the people here. I called JD, I called Marco, I called Howard, I called Scott. I said, I hate to tell you fellas, but we have to do a little bit of a detour. We have to go to Iran and make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon. We had just broken every financial record. And the amazing thing is we continue to break them even during the war. Now fuel went up, but I thought it would have gone up much more. And a lot of ships are coming to the United States, and they're using the United States instead of the Hormuz Strait. Amazing things are happening. Our country is amazing. You know, we don't have an oil shortage. We have wood drill, baby drill. We are right now producing more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Did you know that? More, and in about a year from now, we'll be doing double the level. And Venezuela's been fantastic. We have a great relationship with that country and with the people that are running the country. And we're taking in millions of barrels of oil, millions and millions from Venezuela. It's been a great experience, to be honest with you. They're doing a very good job, and they have our backing. Okay.
All right, we'll return to the White House for that announcement from yesterday in just a second. This all brought to you by some great sponsors here at Right Side, of course. We're right in the middle of peak allergy season, of course, in the middle of spring. And for a lot of people, it's hitting hard right now. Congestion, fatigue, and that run-down feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. And it's not just the symptoms, it's how it affects everything else. Your sleep, your energy, your focus throughout the day. Most of the time it hits before you've had a chance to prepare. It's something we see year after year. That's why more Americans are starting to prepare ahead instead of reacting last minute. With All Family Pharmacy, you can get access to common allergy medications like nasal sprays and inhalers, along with other prescriptions people rely on this time of year. And the process is simple. You go online, you fill out a quick medical form. From there, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, your medication ships straight to your door. There's no extra steps, no running around to find a prescription. It's just a simpler way to handle allergy season and have what you need on hand. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN10 promo code at checkout for 10% off. Cove Pure is another great sponsor here, and you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before. And if those water scares, you remember in Flint, Michigan and East Palestine, Ohio, weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, non-stick cookware, firefighting foam. Well, scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But here's the part that should make you and yours a bit upset, because the EPA set legal limits for these PFAs in drinking water back in 2024, but water systems have until 2031 to comply. So that's a whole 5 years from now. Until that deadline arrives, the utility could actually be operating above the legal limit right now and isn't required to notify you. You're just drinking that water. And that's why every single household needs this product here, Cove Pure, because we know the government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it yet. Which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're gonna have to do it yourself. So Cove Pure was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters that you see out there at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So there's PFAS.
Pray that everybody's having a wonderful day.
It's filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about this company and Cove Pure is they make it so easy. It sits right on your countertop. So you don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install. You just plug it in, you can get even whatever water temperature that you want, hot, cold, or warm with the tap of a button. Don't wait for 2031. Take control of your water quality right now, because if you head to covepure.com/RSBN, you get $250 off right now. That's covepure.com/RSBN.
Thank you everybody on Rumble for tuning in. Please hit the follow button and the like button.
.com/RSBN. All right, it is 2:03 Eastern Time. Thanks so much for live streaming in with us. Let's go back to the president from just yesterday.
Can you again one example? No. Because the world is watching.
Here we go. Here's his ball.
What have the two sides agreed to here? A 3-week ceasefire with the leaders come and meet?
And the leaders will most likely be coming here during that time. And I think when they do, that's a very historic meeting. They haven't met for many, many years, as I understand. They've never met. Think of that. They're next to each other. They're great people, and they've never met. This should be an easy one, okay? Good question.
Thank you.
Just wanted to clarify.
The Lebanese law, we can communicate with Israel. What we can do about this law? Like if we talk with Israel, it will be a crime for us as Lebanese. And this is a question on behalf of.
How is it a crime?
And the Lebanese law, it's a crime. They put you in
Well,
jail.
I think we have to end that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something we're gonna have to end. I never heard of that. But that's a good start. It's a crime to talk with Israel. Well, I'm pretty sure that that'll be ended very quickly, okay? I'll make sure of that. And I know Lebanon doesn't want that. We'll end up, will you work on that, please, everybody? That's crazy.
The ship that was captured on Monday, you said there was a gift for the Iranians in it. What was that in that ship? One from China?
Yeah, well, we have, that's very top secret. There was some in there, but it's top secret. Have you talked to That's one of those little questions, oh, this is not good. No, it's, we have a lot of things that we got. You know, that the strait, what we've done with the blockade is amazing, and nobody gets through. And nobody wants to get through, nobody's trying. The one tried, they shut out the engine, but nobody's trying. We have complete control. Now they can drop their mines in there and do all those stupid things. It's just gonna take longer for them to make money because the mines are gonna affect them much more than they're gonna affect us. But, and we don't know that they're doing that, but they could be that they're not. If they're doing it, it's a very foolish thing to do. Just like for Iran to shoot at Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, and Kuwait, Bahrain, all the different places they shot. Nobody expected that. They thought they'd shoot at Israel in all fairness, but you didn't expect they'd be shooting at numerous other countries. I think it was a big mistake. If they're putting mines down, it's a big mistake for them, I will say.
Are you angry at China for what they sent Iran?
No.
So there's some reporting today that
I guess we do the same thing, don't we? With other countries. You know, it's like one of those things, but nothing that it wasn't earth shaking. Yeah.
there's some reporting today, sir, that you tend to invite Vladimir Putin to the G20 in Miami. Is that the case?
No, but if he came, it would be probably very helpful. You know, I've said a long time ago, when they made the G8, the G7, they threw Russia out before my time. That was Obama and a certain prime minister from a place called Canada, Trudeau. And I said, that's a stupid thing to do. And I was right. You know, I go to these meetings at the G7, and about 90% of the meeting was talking about Russia and what's going on with Russia. And I said, why did you throw them out? You know, if they didn't throw them out, they would have been much better off, in my opinion. You know, it should have been the G8. But when they threw out President Putin, he was very offended by that. He was, rightfully, but he was very offended by that. I venture to say you probably wouldn't be having these problems if you didn't throw them out. Right?
So he's not coming to the G20.
Not that I know.
Because our senior administration officials being quoted in news reports this afternoon that says the Russians are being invited to at least ministerial meetings.
You're saying being invited as opposed to coming. I don't know of the invitation, but if you were invited, I'm of the opinion that you talk to everybody. I'm not one of these guys that, oh, let's not talk to them. You know, there's a war going on, let's not talk to them. I like talking to everybody. If you're a smart person, if you have control over your emotions and all the other things you need control of, I'm somebody that believes in talking. I don't know of that. I don't know that he's coming. I doubt he'd come, to be honest with you. I sort of doubt he'd come. But we're working on trying to get that one out. That would be number 9. I've ended 8 wars. And that one is, but they continue to fight. The hatred between him and President Zelensky is extraordinary, I can tell you.
Can I ask you a few questions, sir? What do you think of this idea of replacing Iran with Italy in the World Cup?
I don't think about it too much. That's an interesting question. You know what? Then we give that a little, that's all right. Is that what they're doing? They're thinking about replacing?
Apparently it's a proposal. Let Marco make his public.
Marco, can you make a statement on that, please? What do you think of?
There's nothing from the U.S. has told them we can't come. I mean, the problem with Iran, it would be not their athletes. It would be some of the other people that we want to bring with them, some of whom have ties to the IRGC. We may not be able to let them in. They're not the athletes themselves. But no one's, I don't know where that's coming from, other than speculation that Iran may decide not to come, and Italy would still respond. But that's, they decide not to come on their own, because they decided not to come. But they can't bring as much IRGC terrorists into our country and pretend that they're, journalists and athletic trainers.
So is the government going
We
to
would
buy,
not want to affect the athletes.
is the government going to buy a stake in Spirit Airlines?
So Spirit is an airline that's had some trouble. They were going to merge with People Express, or one of them, a number of years ago, and Barack Hussein Obama decided it was a bad idea. How did that work out? Stand for both of them. That would have been a natural merger. Not United and American, but Spirit and the other. We're looking at helping them. We have 18,000 people that live in this country that are great people and great employees. We're thinking about doing it, helping them out, meaning bailing them out or buying it, and we just buy it. We're getting it virtually debt-free. They have some good aircraft and good assets, and when the price of oil goes down, sell it for a profit. I'd love to be able to save those jobs. I'd love to be able to save an airline. I like having a lot of airlines, so it's competitive. So we are looking at Spirit. It's in bankruptcy. It's in bankruptcy court, and we're looking if we could get it for the right price. I do it to save the jobs, and we have somebody that wants to run it, do a good job, smart person. And if they run it properly and the prices come down, all of a sudden it's a valuable asset. And they have some very good slots too, which is pretty valuable.
You will visit Lebanon and visit Ambassador Hegseth at the embassy because we're building a huge U.S. embassy in Lebanon. Are you going to plan to launch it or open or attending for the opening?
You want to answer that?
Well, we're working on it. It's not done yet, but once it's done, I will ask the president to come and cut the ribbon.
I have no objection to that. Go ahead.
In the UK today, they just announced a total of $1.3 billion in return from digital service tax, which you in the past called an unfair tax on American companies, you know very well. You previously called for investigations, but so far as we can tell there has been none. Would you call for that?
What tax is this?
A digital service tax is the kind of, nicknamed the tech tax or big tech tax, that kind of.
They put a tax on basically American companies.
It's already there, sir.
Did you say the UK?
Yes, sir. They made $1.3 billion last year. So is that something you would kind of investigate, call for these graphs, have a look at?
We don't like it when they target American companies, because basically they're talking about our great American companies. Whether we like those companies or don't like them, they're American companies, and they're top companies in the world. And we are looking at it. We've been looking at it. UK did it. A couple of other people did it. They think they're going to make an easy buck. That's why they've all taken advantage of our country. They don't take advantage of it. Now, we've been looking at it, and we can meet that very easily by just putting a big tariff on the UK, so they better be careful. If they don't drop the tax, we'll probably put a big tariff on the UK.
What can I expect, 5%, 10%, something similar to what you're looking for?
More than what they're getting. They shouldn't be doing that. All that's doing is really targeting great companies, but they're our companies. It's like us targeting their companies, which we could do very easily. But you don't have big companies like that. You don't have those great companies. Not fair. I have an obligation to protect our companies. That's how they became great. And they become great during my administration. My first 4 years, we had the best economy in history in my first 4 years. And this will blow it away. Look at it. During the war, we had the highest stock market. During a war. It's not a big war for us, but it's a war. And during the war, we had the highest stock market. I have to protect this country, so if they want to do the service tax, France did it also, and some others. And we literally have a meeting after this having to do with that exact question. And what we'll do is we'll reciprocate by putting something on that's equal or greater than what they're doing. And they won't be happy about that. No, that's enough. You did.
Mr. President, I emailed the
Virginia Department of Elections earlier today, asked them if they had seen any evidence of election tampering, of fraudulent mail ballots being cast in the Tuesday election, or if there was any evidence of non-citizen voting in that election. Why did you say that that election was rigged?
Well, you have mail-in ballots, and they found a lot of them at the end of the day.
They said that they have received no credible information related to this
Well, I
election.
know you say that no matter what. You know, you've been saying that for years, and now they're finding out that the 2020 election was totally rigged. And when you look at what just, excuse me, how do you defend what just happened where your Southern law, whatever it is given money to KKK, they're supposed to protect people, and they're paying all these people, crooked as can be, millions of dollars going all to all these people that they're supposed to be protecting from, but they're actually supporting them because they want to have companies that they can protect and because they want to rig elections. That was all a rigged election. All of the things with Charlottesville, all of the stuff that they did, and you won't bring that up, but you'll bring up some nonsense. Let me tell you, the election, we're winning all day long. It's a totally horrible situation. Hopefully the courts will overturn it, what they did in Virginia. And you have a grossly incompetent governor. You had a very good governor, he did a good job. You know, all those companies that want to move into Virginia now, they want to move out and go to a different location. So that's my opinion. I believe it was a rigged election. Virginia's known for it. It was a rigged election. They had a lot of ballots, mail-in ballots. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're cheating. Do you have something?
Yes, you said that the U.S. will work with Lebanon to protect itself and Hezbollah. What does that look like?
What is it?
You said that the U.S. will work with Lebanon to protect itself from Hezbollah.
Oh, we're just going to work with them. I mean, we have a good relationship with Lebanon. It's amazing that, you know, it's the amazing thing is they actually have sort of a good relationship with Israel. They don't deal with each other, but now they're going to deal with each other. We're putting them together.
What's the material support that you intend to provide?
We're just going to help them. We're going to help them. They're great people. It can be a really good country again. Maybe a great country again. And I think you have all the ingredients. So we're going to work together. And I think Israel's going to be terrific. But they do have a common problem. It's Hezbollah. Okay, a couple more.
Some Republicans are saying that they don't want to vote for a bill that just has homeland security funding. Would you support them expanding that to include other tax and defense?
Well, I'd love to see one thing. You know what that is? Save America. I'd love to see the Save America Act, which is voter ID, which is proof of citizenship, which is, by the way, no mail-in voting, which is a fraud. Anytime you have mail-in voting, you got a fraudulent election. But I'd leave it for military, mail-in voting for military, for people that are sick, for people that are traveling, like business or whatever, different things. But disability, we're going to have a problem. But no mail-in ballots. We added a couple of things. No man playing in women's sports. It's unrelated, but it's a popular thing. And no transgender utilization of our children. So that's it. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so the president just yesterday there at the Oval Office, and speaking of the Oval Office, speaking of the White House, they just posted something on X referring to exactly what President Trump was just saying, actually. America's elections are for Americans, saying pass the Save America Act, literally within about a minute, 20 seconds now. So that's on X right there, and of course, I'm sure they'll be posting that on Truth Social as well. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. There is a warehouse moving sale ongoing. You can save up to 80%. Just go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the great Mike Lindell running a great company there, running for governor in Minnesota. A lot of great things going on that way. mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. Thanks so much for watching here on this live stream broadcast as we're wrapping up our broadcast for the day. If there's any breaking news, that's major national breaking news, we'll be here live for you. Also, we always upload various videos as well. So check out all of our social media platforms. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Alrighty, guys. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you for the likes. If you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button comment, like, share my content so we can get more amazing people to discover my channel, because I would love for us all to grow in our faith together. And any support is always appreciated through the QR up here or through my bio, whichever one you prefer. Either way, you get a click link. And keep everybody in your prayers. Trump is doing an amazing job, but like I said, there's some things that he could have done better. You know, he's human. But when it comes to which side that I would choose, I would always stick with what the Bible is aligned with. And Trump is doing what the Bible stands for. And it's honestly sad that the lefties are going crazy to a point where they even tried to kill him, assassinate him. But at the end of the day, when you are equipped with the Word of God, you are protected, you're shielded. And God is protecting him. Trump has guardian angels around him. And it's a beautiful thing. And I just pray that Trump stays aligned, stays focused and faithful to Christ. And he walks the path that God has for him. But I do pray that you enjoyed this live stream. And if you have any suggestions for the channel, please never hesitate to comment below. If you need any prayers, comment below. And I did upload a new video. It's a short video. It's of the sky, but it's beautiful. And I do pray that you go check it out and comment. And a huge shout out to my editor. Thank you so much. You truly are a blessing for what you've done for this channel and still yet to do, I pray. And thank you guys so much for just being a part of the channel as well. But stay in the Word. Equip yourself, because this is not the time to not be ready, because we are in the end times. So just equip yourself, be prepared at all times. And when the enemy attacks, he doesn't like scripture. He doesn't. That's what you use on him. And I just pray that everybody comes to Christ and accept him into their hearts, into their lives, because he will transform you in the most beautiful way. And it won't be easy. He will take you through ups and downs, hills, places that you've never been to. But it is to shape you into the warrior that he is creating you to be, making you to be. So, and when it comes to man, I will not bow or worship man, because man will not get you to heaven. Christ will. Christ is the only one that I will follow, be faithful to, obey, and worship. He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He's literally everything. But I will see you guys on the next stream, and I do pray your day is wonderful and your weather is decent. But go outside and enjoy it, and I'll see you guys on the next live stream. God bless.